Hey, I'm Decimal, and today I want to show you my studio setup. I've been traveling for a little bit, but now I'm back and I'm ready to start recording some music and jamming. Of course, I love jamming. So I'm gonna break things down and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So why don't we get into it? I guess the first thing I really want to talk about is the MIDI implementation, because I feel like it's a little bit different than how most people would do it. And it's all based off of the MIDI hub. For those of you who don't know, the MIDI hub is a very powerful tool for MIDI distribution and sending MIDI signal chains to different devices, but it also can do a bunch of generative stuff, and it has like MIDI effects, but that is besides the point. For this MIDI hub implementation, it basically has the Digitone and the Keystep going into it. So the Digitone has a pretty powerful sequencer, and I wanted to utilize that for other devices. And the Keystep is going to be able to control everything through the MIDI hub because it has one input and the 4 outputs can go to the 2 Dreadbox Synths, the Blackbox, and the Digitone itself. The other input is the Digitone, like I said before, and the Digitone again can control a bunch of other things as well, but it can also send signals to itself as well, which is an interesting concept when you think about it. There was a glitch before with the Digitone, but they patched it out when you send MIDI signals to itself, but they patched it out, which is really nice. So why don't we start listening to some things? So the mixer is pretty much everything is stereo, and it's going into the mixer. 9 and 8 is going to be one stereo synthesizer. And yeah, so I have the Blackbox going in, and I can play a patch right now. So if I could find, okay, there we go. So I have it on the mixer, stereo. And then another stereo signal out is the Digitone. So yeah, we have another stereo device going into the mixer. So both the Blackbox and the Digitone are going to be the driving brains of this setup, but also they're going to provide the drums because they're both like powerful sampler and a powerful FM sequencer thing going on. Now over here, when it comes to the synthesizers, I got 2 Dreadbox synths, the Nymphs and the Typhon, 2 synths that I absolutely adore. And the cool thing about it is that because of the MIDI hub implementation, I have one, it's a little hot, but I have one signal coming from the Arturia Keystep that is now being distributed to every single thing that is that you see on the table. So basically it's always sending signals out. However, I can change the channel. So for example, if I want to do like the Blackbox, I know it's channel 3. So if I go to channel 3, that is all coming from, that's going from the Keystep to the Blackbox via the MIDI hub. So if I want to play the Typhon, I know that's channel 1. So I switch to channel 1. Now I'm dealing with the, oh wait, no, channel 1, sorry. Getting used to this, I just did this yesterday. Okay, so channel 1 is the Nymphs. Channel 2 should be the Typhon. All right, so that pretty much like, oh yeah, and both the synths are going through the poly effects Digi for additional effects. So this is a very powerful pedal, and I just feel like having these synthesizers going through it, it's gonna widen everything up and just give it endless, source of possibilities. Because so not only does this poly effects Digi have like 4 mono inputs or 2 stereo inputs, which is the way I'm using it. Stereo from the Typhon, stereo from the Nymphs. but it also has multiple effects that you can stack on top of each other as well. So I just felt like having this area being like a potential like ambient dream where I could send Digitone notes and play live with the Keystep is something really great. But in combination with the drums, we can get to a point where I can be very like, there's a lot of expansion you can do when it comes to like for musical capabilities. I feel like combining this setup is really good. I don't have any effects going through the Blackbox. Blackbox does have some effects in it, but they're not the best. Maybe I can in future route it to a pedal, but again, I'm just sort of getting used to all this. And yeah, that's pretty much the setup. The only other thing I want to talk about is like power management. The Typhon doesn't like to be powered with other friends, and that's something you just want. A Typhon, you just want to go directly to the wall. You don't want anything else like interfering with it because you're gonna get noise. Because right now I don't hear any noise, and it's like, it's definitely on, but you will get like a background you'll get background noise if it's not plugged in on its own. So just like for anyone who's dealing with Typhon, you want that to, you just want it to be on its own. That's it. So yeah, I guess the other thing I want to talk about is one interesting thing I can do is, for example, okay, so if I go to channel 1, so on channel 1 I have the nymphs, but what I could do is I can go into the settings. So right now the Typhon is on channel 2. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the global settings to the MIDI channels. See how it says input 2? I'm gonna put it to input 1. So now both the Typhon and the nymphs are on channel 1, which means if I play a chord, I'm gonna get both the nymphs and the Typhon at the same time. So that one note I'm striking is the combination of the nymphs and the Typhon. So if I play a chord, it's going to play one note from the Typhon and then like whatever many 6 polyphonic voices from the nymphs. So that's 2 synths going at the same time, and it's also going through the pedal as well. So we're almost like stacking them on top of each other. And if I don't like that, I can go back to the settings, global settings, MIDI channels, put it to input 2. Now we only have the nymphs, and then I go to channel 2, and now I have the Typhon. So I thought that was an interesting quirk about this setup, and it's not challenging to like do this. So to have it routed in a different way, it's just like, oh, just change the channel here, and now you have them both playing stacked on top of each other. I guess the only other thing, maybe I'll just play myself out a quick jam. Just a short little jam.